They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But mine came with a side of a billion-dollar empire. The man who humiliated me in that restaurant didn't recognize me 6 months later. And when he did, the look on his face was priceless. You know that feeling when you're so excited about something that your hands shake? That was me, standing outside Bellissimo's on the night of my 30th birthday. I'd saved for 4 months to afford one meal at that place. 4 months of double shifts at the Grandview Hotel, scrubbing toilets and changing sheets, just so I could sit in a restaurant where they fold napkins into swans. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Because this story, it's about to take you on a ride. Now let me take you back to that night. The night everything changed. I wore my best dress, a navy blue number from a thrift store that actually fit my size 22 frame. I'd done my makeup, watched 3 YouTube tutorials to get my eyeshadow right, and even got my hair done. Box braids that fell past my shoulders and made me feel like maybe I could belong in a place like Bellissimo's. The hostess looked at me like I'd walked into the wrong building, but I had a reservation. Evelyn Harris, party of 1, 7:30 p.m. They sat me at a table in the back corner, near the kitchen doors where the romantic ambiance went to die. I was taking my first bite of my $28 pasta when I heard it. Loud, obnoxious laughter that cut through the gentle dinner conversation like a knife. I looked up and saw them. 4 men in expensive suits just walked in, but one of them had stopped. He was staring directly at me. He was tall, handsome, with a jawline that looked like it belonged on a magazine cover. His suit was charcoal gray, perfectly tailored. Later, I'd learn his name was Brandon Mitchell. But in that moment, he was just the man looking at me like I was the punchline to a joke. "Damn," he said, loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. "They really let anybody in here now, huh?" His friends turned to see what he was talking about, and then they saw me. My size, me sitting alone with my pasta, and they laughed. I felt my stomach drop. That feeling when the floor disappears from under you and you can't remember how to breathe properly. "Look at her trying to eat fancy," Brandon continued, pulling out his phone. "Hold up, I gotta document this. You think the chair's gonna hold?" More laughter. One of his friends chimed in. "Man, she probably needs 2 chairs. Every eye in that restaurant was on me now. Some people looked away, embarrassed for me. Others stared openly. Brandon was taking pictures, actually pointing his phone at me while his friends laughed so hard one of them was wiping tears. "This is going straight to the group chat," Brandon announced. Caption, "When you order everything on the menu." He looked at me, really looked at me, and his lip curled. "Sweetheart, maybe try a salad next time. Just a suggestion." I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these people. My hands were shaking so badly I had to put down my fork. I stood up, threw 2 20s on the table and walked toward the exit. Every step felt like a mile. As I passed Brandon's table, he stage whispered to his friends, "There she goes, probably heading straight to McDonald's." I made it outside before the first sob broke free. I walked the 6 blocks to my apartment because I'd spent my bus money on that stupid meal. 6 blocks in heels that gave me blisters. 6 blocks with tears streaming down my face and mascara making black tracks down my cheeks. When I got home to my studio apartment, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. And for the first time in years, I actually saw myself the way the world seemed to see me. Not as Evelyn, not as a woman with dreams and feelings, but as a body. A too big body that didn't deserve to eat expensive pasta or celebrate her birthday. I sank onto my futon and cried until there was nothing left. My phone showed my bank balance, $142 until payday. I'd just blown $40 on a meal I didn't even eat. I looked around my tiny apartment, at the water stain on the ceiling, at my work uniform hanging on the door, at the stack of bills on my table. This was my life. 30 years old, broke, alone, and apparently so undeserving of basic human dignity that a stranger felt entitled to humiliate me for entertainment. "I'm done," I whispered to my reflection. I'm done being invisible. I'm done being the punchline. I didn't have a plan. I just knew something had to change. The next morning, I remembered the letter. 3 years ago, my grandmother passed away. Her lawyer had sent a letter saying there was a small inheritance, but I needed to claim it. I'd been too deep in grief to ever go. At 9 a.m., I was sitting in the lawyer's office. Mr. Thompson slid an envelope across his desk. Inside was a check and a handwritten note from my grandmother. "Baby girl, I saved every penny I could for you. Use this to build something beautiful. You deserve more than what this world tried to give you. Love yourself first. Everything else will follow." The check was for $50,000. I just stared at it. That was more money than I'd make in 2 years of scrubbing toilets. It was enough to change my life, or enough to bet on myself. I chose the latter. First, I called a therapist. Sitting in Dr. Carroll's office, I realized I'd been carrying shame that didn't belong to me, hurt from a lifetime of being told I was too much and not enough all at once. "What happened at that restaurant wasn't about you," Dr. Carroll said. "It was about his need to feel superior by making someone else feel small." I joined a gym, not a fancy one, just a regular neighborhood place. The first day, I could barely walk 5 minutes on the treadmill, but I went back the next day, and the day after that. But I wasn't just working on my body. Every night after work, I went to the public library and took free online business courses. Marketing, accounting, business strategy. I stayed until the library closed at 9. I started noticing how hard it was to find affordable, stylish athletic wear in plus sizes. Everything either looked like a tent or cost $200. So I started sketching. Leggings with pockets, sports bras that actually supported, tank tops in bold colors, clothes that made you feel powerful. I was working 14-hour days. Hotel, gym, library, then home to sketch and plan. I was exhausted. But then I'd remember Brandon's face, the laughter, the photos, and I'd keep going. 3 months in, I'd lost 35 pounds. But what made me proud was that I'd completed 2 business courses and created actual designs for an athletic wear line. I registered a business name, Crown and Curves. I took $3,000 and had 50 prototype pieces made. I wore them to the gym. I gave them to women in my class. The response was overwhelming. "Girl, where did you get these? These are the first leggings that don't roll down." "I love that these come in fun colors. I'm so tired of everything being black." So I went on social media. I created an account for Crown and Curves and posted a video of myself, still over 200 pounds, sweaty from a workout, talking about why I started the company. How every woman deserves to feel beautiful and powerful. How clothes should work for your body, not against it. I posted it at 11 p.m. and went to bed. I woke up to my phone exploding. The video had gotten 100,000 views overnight. Women were sharing their stories, asking where they could buy my clothes. I quit my job at the hotel that day. My neighbor Teresa knocked on my door that evening. "I saw your video. I want to help. Whatever you need." She became my first employee. We turned my apartment into headquarters. Orders came faster than we could fill them. I was packing boxes at 3 a.m., but I'd never been happier. 5 months after that night at Bellissimo's, I'd lost 80 pounds, but more importantly, I'd made over $500,000 in revenue. Crown and Curves had been featured in magazines. I had 15,000 followers. By month 6, we were exploding. I was getting offers from investors, real venture capital firms reaching out. I met with investment firms, most led by men who looked like Brandon, who smiled, but I could see the surprise in their eyes that someone like me built something like this. But the 13th meeting was different. Angela Robertson, a black woman partner at Summit Capital. She'd done her homework. 15 minutes into my presentation, she stopped me. "I've seen 1,000 pitches. Most are garbage. But this is real. You're not just selling clothes. You're selling dignity. You're building a movement." She offered me $2 million for 15% of the company. I negotiated her down to 12%. She laughed and said, "I like you. You know your worth." With that investment, everything changed. We moved into a real office, hired designers and marketers, partnered with manufacturers, launched a professional website. Vogue put me on Designers to Watch. Elle ran an article about me revolutionizing the plus-size industry. My Instagram hit 500,000 followers. Then a major retail chain called. They wanted Crown and Curves in 200 stores nationwide. I just sat there, trying to process it. When Teresa walked in, I said, "We just made it." By month 10, Crown and Curves was valued at $300 million. By the time my 31st birthday rolled around, 1 year after the worst night of my life, we'd closed a deal that valued the company at $1.2 billion. I was a billionaire. Me. Evelyn Harris. The girl from the basement. Apartment who'd walked home crying in painful heels. But even as I celebrated, I felt something unfinished. Brandon Mitchell had no idea that the woman he'd humiliated was now more successful than he could dream of being. The universe was listening. The invitation came on a Tuesday. The annual Hope Foundation Gala. $10,000 a plate, guest list full of business elite. They'd asked me to be the keynote speaker, but it was the venue that made my heart pound. Bellissimos. "Tell them yes," I said. 3 weeks later, I walked into that restaurant in a custom emerald green gown that cost more than I used to make in 6 months. Professional hair and makeup. When I looked in the mirror, I saw the woman I'd become. Powerful, successful, unshakable. The room was full of CEOs, politicians, influencers. People recognized me, wanted to tell me how inspiring my story was. And then I saw him. Brandon Mitchell, standing near the bar with the same group from that night. My heart pounded. For a second, I was back there, feeling small and worthless, but then I remembered who I was now, what I'd built. The director introduced me. I took the stage and began. A year ago, I sat in this restaurant on my 30th birthday. I'd saved for months to afford one meal here. That night didn't go as planned. Someone decided my body was public property, that my size gave him permission to mock me, photograph me, turn my celebration into entertainment. The room went quiet. I saw Brandon's head turn toward the stage, saw him look at me for the first time. I left here that night feeling like I didn't deserve to exist. But that night also gave me clarity. The world wasn't going to hand me dignity. If I wanted it, I'd have to build it myself. Recognition dawned on Brandon's face. The color drained from his cheeks. So I did. I took every ounce of pain and shame, and I transformed it into purpose. I built Crown and Curves, now valued at over $1 billion. We employ 300 people. We serve millions of women who've been told their bodies are wrong. I paused. The man who laughed at me? He's here tonight, and I want to thank him. Without that humiliation, I might never have found the strength inside me. The room erupted in applause. People stood. But I kept my eyes on Brandon. He looked like he wanted to disappear. After my speech, I was surrounded by congratulations. But I watched Brandon make his way toward me. He approached slowly. "Evelyn," he said. I turned to face him. Up close, he looked tired. The confidence cracked around the edges. "I didn't realize. Your speech," he struggled. "That I was the woman you humiliated?" I finished. "The one you photographed? Made into a joke?" He flinched. "That night, I was drunk. I didn't mean—" "You didn't mean for me to hear? Or you didn't mean to hurt someone you saw as less than human?" "I'm sorry," he said. "Really, truly sorry. What I did was wrong. Cruel. If I could take it back—" "But you can't," I said simply. "And your apology? I don't need it. It doesn't change what you did. It's about a year too late." He looked like I'd slapped him. "You want to know what would have made a difference? If you'd been the kind of man who didn't think someone else's body was your business, who saw all women as human beings worthy of respect." "You're right," he said quietly. "I know I am." I took a breath. I spent months angry at you, using that anger as fuel. But I'm done now. You don't get any more of my energy. I started to turn away. For what it's worth, he said, what you've built is incredible. I looked at him. Then do better. Be better. Not for me. I'll never see you again. But for the next person. Learn that your words have weight. That cruelty has consequences. I will, he said. I walked away. And as I moved through the crowd, I felt lighter. Like I'd been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. Angela found me by the windows. How are you feeling? I thought facing him would feel triumphant, I said, but I don't feel like I won. I feel like I just realized I was never competing with him. My opponent was the version of myself who believed his words. And now? Now I know my worth was never up for debate. It was about proving myself right. Later that night, standing on my penthouse balcony, I thought about that woman from a year ago, the one who ran out crying. I wished I could tell her, it gets better. You're going to discover strength you didn't know you had. You're going to build something that matters. You're going to wake up one day and actually like who you see in the mirror. You're going to learn that the best revenge isn't making someone feel small. It's becoming so genuinely happy that they become irrelevant. My phone buzzed. Teresa. Just saw clips from your speech. I'm crying. So proud of you. Your grandmother would be too. I thought about Grandma Rose, about her saving every penny so I could build something beautiful. I did it, Grandma, I whispered. I built something beautiful, and it started with me. So that's my story. The millionaire who laughed at me? His company went under 8 months after the gala. I didn't celebrate when I heard. I didn't feel anything, because he'd become exactly what I needed him to be. Irrelevant. That night at Bellissimo's didn't break me. It rebuilt me. Into someone who knows her worth isn't determined by a number on a scale or a stranger's opinion. Someone who understands that the best revenge is living so well that people who doubted you become footnotes in your success story. If my story resonated with you, smash that like button and drop a comment telling me about a time someone underestimated you. How did you prove them wrong? I want to hear your comeback story. Hit that subscribe button because I share real stories like this every week. Stories about people who refused to let the world define them, who turned pain into power and humiliation into empires. Remember, your comeback will always be stronger than any setback. The people who laugh at you today will watch your success from a distance tomorrow. And when they finally recognize you, you'll be so far ahead you won't even notice them in your rearview mirror. So go build your empire. Make it so successful, so impactful, so undeniably yours that people who doubted you have no choice but to respect what you've created. And when they come crawling back with apologies, smile, nod, and keep walking. You've got bigger things to do. Now go get your crown. You've always deserved to wear it.